Good morning. Look who I've got here. Karyn Grenfell. Isn't that nice?
Hi.
How are you, babes?
I'm fine. How are
Nice
you?
to see you.
It's really lovely to be here.
For anybody who doesn't know, she and I used to work at 5FM together for a very long time. It's kind of where we know each other from.
Yes.
But you're still single-handedly like fighting out there for South African music too.
I am indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's the brave soldier in the foreground of like local music, just doing the bestest.
Yeah. Trying to keep it, the money in here and paying our artists instead of constantly paying international artists for songs.
Or Apple or Spotify.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, those things are here, so we've just got to like embrace it. But it's,
Well, I want to talk to you about that because you know more about it than most people. And I mean, I get people coming up to me and I've got nothing to do with the music business. And they're like, how do I get my music? Someone asked me on Thursday last week.
Yeah.
They're like, how do I get more people to see my music on YouTube? And I was like,
oh gosh,
I don't know.
I mean,
so what I'm going to do is just give them your number from now. Just be like,
can I rather give you my email address?
Yeah,
I've got a few for those sort of things, and then I get to them. Yeah.
But that's, I mean, you're busy as hell because it's not just that.
Yeah.
Being a mom.
Yes.
All of this shit's like, that's a full-time job all on its own.
Well, the thing is that, I mean, my sons have moved out. They're older. So that sort of job is done, although you never stop.
You can't be old enough for sons that have already moved out.
Totally. So the eldest one is turning 24 next year, early next year. Jesus. And the other one is 21. And they've both moved out. And so I turned their room into my goddess room.
Hell, what is that?
So my
Sounds
goddess,
good.
it is amazing. It's amazing. So it's got my yoga stuff, it's got my art stuff, and it's just a place that I can, do whatever I need to do in this new journey of mine. And I mean, I have a daughter who's going to grade 10 next year. So it's basically just her and I. And then when my one son, he lives in Four Ways because that's where he works.
Well, I mean, no one's perfect.
No, exactly. And he occasionally
shame, shame he lives in Four Ways, What was what's the theme from Four Ways? 4 doors, more whores.
Oh yeah.
Shame. That's great from Friday. It's just so classy.
Poor guy. And he comes home on the weekends, but now he has to sleep on the couch.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, well,
at
least he still wants to come and visit on weekends.
Yes. So mom's stuff is still there, but I've really in the last few years just embraced myself, and I've been on this amazing self-love and self-care journey and focused on myself. And like in hindsight, I really wish I'd started earlier, because what I realized is, as a mom, if you are 100% loving yourself and 100% sorted, then it becomes like so much easier
it's like
as a mom
abundance,
job.
Right?
Totally.
It's abundance. You've got all the energy, you got all the love, everything else.
And when you're a mom, and especially like a single mom, you're constantly putting everyone else in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
And so what has to change is that you put yourself first. And then, I mean, it's the same as being on an airplane. That's why they say put the mask on yourself first and then your child.
Yeah.
Because that's how it should be. But we forget that.
And moms are always like, I won't go for that haircut. I won't take time out to actually look after myself. I won't go for,
I won't do my own extramural,
classes where I can go and learn some new skill.
Exactly.
Or I can just keep fit or whatever, because, the kids have to be fetched from school. And all that shit.
So you've just got to, so that's what I've done in the last few years. Just
fuck those kids.
Fuck them, man. They're fine. They're fine.
Oh, J9 says on the comments, I love my hippie friend.
Oh, yes.
Would you say you're a hippie?
I know what she's saying, because I am.
You talk like one. I mean, like my goddess room and my yoga.
And I don't want it to like ever come across like that, because sometimes I listen to other people and I'm like, oh my God, you sound like such a wanker.
No, but you're not a hippie. You're like a rock chick as well.
Yeah.
So it's just, kind of a.
Yeah.
I mean, you're very individual. You've always been.
Yeah.
You had the tattoos and the nose piercing long before it was cool.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
No, you did.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember this is like 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
When I met you. And you do have this very eclectic kind of music taste.
Yes.
And I don't think you want to be put in a box.
No, I don't. And I mean, look, I don't mind the hippie vibe.
No, sure.
I mean,
but you're not wearing tie-dye and.
Oh God, I do have.
Oh Jesus!
I dressed up especially for you today, but I do have these beautiful flowy dresses that I walk around in, and
Okay.
and I've just seen that you've got a vegetable garden, but I've had one for years, and I mean, I wander around. And I don't have shoes on. I walk around and just feel the earth
You
and
earth yourself. Yeah.
do.
Someone told me that's
do.
really important once.
It is.
So 2 quick things on that.
Yes.
First of all, I did a little mini harvest yesterday of this vegetable garden because now there's like lettuce this big and shit,
Amazing.
which is awesome,
Isn't it the
right?
most incredible feeling.
Yeah, I really am kind of proud of it because I've also done all of it on my own, which is pretty cool.
And it's fancy. Yours is fancy. Sorry, I'm just interrupting you here. You've got all of these beautiful little it just looks like one of those fancy gardens.
So it's like anything in my life, it must also look nice.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very big on kind of aesthetics.
Yes.
It's got to all look right.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't look right, then it doesn't matter what it's actually doing.
Yes.
I'm not there's that form versus function kind of debate. And I think you've got to have a bit of both.
Yeah.
Because people who are all function, if it's not pleasing to the eye, then I'm kind of, I won't pay as much attention to it.
Yeah.
So thank you. But I think the most important thing is these. I've got tomatoes now.
Yes.
I've got all kinds of stuff growing. And in fact, it's like a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
So now I've got to go in and kind of cut things back. And I'm not sure how to do that. But I got some really good advice the other day because I had this shitty little carrot that was this fucking big.
Shame.
Yeah, it was all leaves.
Yeah.
Like massively. And then a tiny little carrot. And someone who listens to the show, who's an expert on this stuff, said to me, no, you've just got to wait. Look, how pathetic.
Sure.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Was it a little bit too close to home, Karyn?
So, well, maybe that's why it hurt my feelings so much. So anyway, the key is that you just got to keep it growing for a while, because what's happened is all the growth has gone into the leaves and things. You got to leave it, and then it will grow, and it will become a non-embarrassing, actually useful carrot. So that's the one thing. The other thing is you talk about walking around without shoes on, right? I grew up on a farm, so I'm used to walking around, and I mean, I've got like pretty thick soles on my feet. Yes. So I have to actually, I realized the other day, like my feet are looking terrible. I need to go and
for pedicure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And guys don't do that very often. And if you don't, as a guy, and you go into summer and you're wearing like, slops or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And people go, ugh.
Yeah. Especially like walking from the back.
Oh my God.
If you're walking behind someone.
And they got like cracked heels, and that's really gross.
And then of course you go, sure, imagine being in bed with that.
Because it would rub, and then like it would be coarse. It would be like sandpaper.
You'd be having your own exfoliation. Which might not be a bad thing.
I think if it's against someone else's calluses, and that's pretty much a bad thing by definition. Oh my God. All right. So we talked about music just a second ago. And by the way, we've got Dr. Hanan coming on a little later on. So we'll get a free psychology session.
Excellent.
Trust me. It's really, we keep telling him, it's really, it's helping so many people. And Dr. Hanan, you've got to see all the comments we get from people, and they love you. And actually, it's just so I can get like,
absolutely,
some updated software.
Yes. Excellent. Good.
So we got him coming on. We got James with a little sports update a little later. And Karyn Maughan is going to join us. She's written a new book. And as you know, Karyn Maughan's like one of our most intrepid journalists. She's fearless. She goes out there. I think I encountered her properly for the first time during the Oscar Pistorius trial.
Yeah.
Which feels like a century ago.
I feel like it is a century ago. Yeah.
It's like, it's a decade.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably exactly a decade.
Yeah.
But she was there in the forefront of it. She knew all the characters.
I'm like fangirling. I'm a bit bleak that she's not going to be sitting right here next to me.
Well, isn't she coming in? Is she online? She's online. Oh, I thought she was coming in.
No, I'm so sad. I mean, I got dressed up for her.
Damn it, man.
Because she's got these cool fashion vibes.
We'll still talk to her, so it's fine. But you were talking about the music business just now. And I want to get a kind of health assessment on that.
Yeah.
And what's actually happening, because I'm totally out of it. I saw, I went to a function the other day, and I saw an artist called Will Linley.
Yes.
Who I've never seen before.
Oh my God, the girls are going crazy.
Like, what
it's
a
like the
talented
Beatles
kid.
all over again.
Like he's what, 20 years old or something?
Yeah, he's amazing.
And these girls at this event were going bananas. And the guy's got really good songs.
Yeah,
and he's got a totally different sound to anyone else.
He's like that geeky nerd at school that like is been thrown into the spotlight. And his pop songs are fantastic. They really, really are fantastic.
So, I mean, I use him as an example of just how I'm not connected since I don't DJ anymore and I'm not playing music.
Yes.
I've completely lost track. And you remember when we used to do music radio, you had to know what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because first of all, it was put on the playlist and you kind of just by virtue of the fact that it was there, you wanted to know who the artist was. You find new songs, add them to your playlists. Now I'm afraid I've got pretty lazy on that front. Unless someone sends me a song on WhatsApp or on Spotify or whatever, I'm not going to add it. And I don't know what's going on in local music. So what are the big kind of trends? Who's shooting the lights out at the moment?
Well, I mean, I think that there's, you've still got your, Prime Circle and whatnot that are still like they're still forging ahead.
I was invited to a listening session.
Yes, on
theirs.
Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got their new vocalist and they've just brought out a new music. And so all of those bands are still doing their thing.
Right.
And I mean, we're chatting now in sort of rock world. But there's some truly amazing pop stars that are coming out. And you've still got your indie pop bands, your Desmond and the Tutus and Short Straw that are doing their thing. But I mean, the reality is that Amapiano is still it is so
monstrous,
incredibly massive, and it's amazing to see, because we've gone through eras of Gom and Kwaito, etc., that are still, they're still relevant. But I think Amapiano is, I just think that it's mind blowing what's happening
and
there.
It's global.
Absolutely, I flippin' love what's happening with African music and the fact that just Africa in general is we are just the it girl at the moment.
Yeah. Long may it last.
Absolutely.
Because it's good for local music.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, we joke about how, and it's not actually very funny, how the platforms now take so much of the money that is generated from people listening to and buying these things. And I mean, frankly, in some ways, I don't think there's ever been a better time. I mean, you really have to be brilliant to break through. But you can, in a millisecond, be exposed to everybody.
Totally.
I think if you're truly original and different and brilliant, more people will hear you now than could ever have heard you when record companies were trying to promote people.
Definitely. I mean, for me, I think the best music platform is TikTok.
Yeah.
It is so incredible. And the reason that I say that is because it's not only discovering new music, but it is all of these old tracks that are suddenly making this resurgence. And the reason that I see that is because I'll hear my daughter playing a track and I'm like, where did you hear that song? And she's like, no, on TikTok, there's a trend going. And it's a flippin' Tears for Fears track, or it's a Crowded House track.
Wow.
And the other day she was
they're rediscovering all that music too, right?
So we're rediscovering it. And they are discovering it. It's amazing because they've never heard it before. So for them, it's a brand new song. I mean, my daughter was playing Crowded House the other day. And I was like, oh my God, this was the first concert that I went to in 1993 where our parents dropped us off from Pretoria to Standard Bank Arena. And we were like on our own. It was the most exciting, most incredible scenario. So I got to have this reminisce and sing along with her, and it was just so beautiful. So for me, I think TikTok is amazing. And the fact is that all of these things are trending. All of these little the dances, the Amapiano dances and all of that. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. So yeah, I mean, if you want to discover what is happening in the music world, TikTok is.
Now, you also lectured for a while in media.
Yes.
You still doing that?
So no, I lectured for a long time. Oh my gosh, it's still very close to my heart. I just loved working with young people and teaching them.
And what a time to be doing that too.
Yeah.
I mean, media is changing at a rate of knots. I mean,
Completely.
I saw, just this last weekend, the CEO of like MultiChoice has just resigned.
Yes.
They've lost hundreds of thousands of subscribers recently. You know, the SABC is still chugging along, but things have changed there as well.
Drastically.
You look at what content means now, and it's such a terrible word because if you think of content, like a rubbish bin's filled with content, right? And your fridge has got contents. Yeah. And if you take a page of beautiful writing, you could technically just call that content.
Absolutely.
But it's such a depressing thing to think about how it's been reduced to that like hold all category. And anyone who goes into media now, you don't have to understand how it used to work in television or radio or newspapers, God forbid, because now the new platforms have so eclipsed those things that they hardly even matter. I mean, someone said to me that the ratings on American primetime shows now on like the big networks are so bad that the numbers of people watching live television are so low at the moment that you could probably do a live stream on YouTube and you'd get more than like your NBC, CBS, ABCs. These were always the big networks that had all the power.
Yeah. I don't even have a TV.
And I hardly use mine. So I'm with you.
Yeah. I think
I'm
my
not
son
sure.
took it with him to Four Ways so he could play.
Well, you need it in Four Ways. You need it so that other people can steal it. That's how you trade in Four Ways, right?
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, there are lots of people in here saying that they love Desmond and the Tutus. Prime Circle performing in my area this coming weekend.
I love that. There was someone that just said that I'm a piano got people from zero revenue to multimillionaires in a short period, and that's 100%. It's incredible. It's truly incredible, and I think that also, I mean, there's so many people that are doing collaborations when it comes to Amapiano. You'll see when you're looking at Amapiano, there's like 5 different artists that are on there.
Yeah,
and it's I just think it's such an incredible genre, and just it is what it's doing, and all of the like subgenres that are happening, and the like different sounds that are coming through, and I absolutely love it. But you were chatting, you know, even because I work now a lot in advertising, so I work for a company full time. I actually have a full time job. I mean, it's amazing. I get to go on holiday.
Are you getting leave?
I get leave.
How does that work for you? I mean,
God, it's so amazing. And you know, the first
she's saying this, by the way, she's saying this because we've always had like freelance contracts, and if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Totally.
So
like even when you're sick, you're like, oh my God,
I'm
about to do the
crawl
news.
to work. Yeah,
Totally.
Right.
So the first year that I was working there, I went on leave in December, and then I got this full salary. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life.
It's nice to not be a slave.
It is
12
nice.
years
you know
a
what
slave.
I mean? Like, flipping hell. I was like, oh my God, this is so incredible. But even there, I can see how the advertising, it's massively shifted to online.
Totally.
So the TV advertising is like minimal,
Oh.
and all of them. And what's amazing is that, you know, you're going to pay for a 90-second ad. You're going to pay an absolute fortune on TV.
Right.
So they're all doing like 60s or 30s, but then online you can do a flippin' 2-minute little ad.
Yeah.
You know, so it's mind blowing how
and the
things
clever
are
people are
changing.
the ones who are going to figure out how to make useful content for brands in that space. It's already happened. It's
Oh,
been
they
happening
have,
for years.
yes.
Yeah. No,
There's
it's very
quite a few.
clever.
Like, I mean, you know, you've got Boa Bosch. I don't know if you know him, but he does all of these amazing ads for all of these brands, and it's funny and it's relatable, and it's not like you're watching an ad.
No, it's
It's entertaining. It's super incredible. Yeah. So
all right.
people are having
But
to
what
think.
are you telling people now if they say to you, I want to get into media? Because I just say to them, well, go. What do you need? They're no like gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Just get on there. Just do your thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You could record yourself on your phone.
This is what I've always said.
And go.
You
Let's see
can
what you do.
You can do live. You can do everything that you need to do. You don't actually need. I mean, you need a light basically, so someone can see your face.
Or
that's
go
what your thing is.
outside.
Yeah, totally. Go stand outside. If you have like a quieter spot.
Yeah. Just
But
go outside.
you can totally use everything that is on your phone.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
truly incredible.
people are able to edit things now.
Yeah.
Quick as can be. They upload the stuff almost as
Absolutely.
quickly, and then
And
before
you've
you
got,
know
then
it,
you've got tools from AI that you can completely change, like a whole bunch of stuff. You can make the audio sound better. Even when it comes to whatever content, if you like filming something, you can like shove it into AI, make it look better.
Absolutely.
It's
Are
everything.
you using a lot of that? Because I the other night I was up, I couldn't sleep, and I just started asking AI, like, I've got this paid for one now. No. So I just started asking it a bunch of questions just to see if I could catch it out somewhere.
Yeah.
Came up with good stuff.
It does.
And there are obviously, you can pick up a couple of mistakes here and there. You can pick up some repetition, and I think it's a bit lazy still.
Yeah. It's still learning.
Yeah, but you can really shortcut a lot of stupid stuff in the world.
I mean, I can cut down my working time. So what I do is, I'm an executive producer at this audio company. We compose music for ads. I do music sync. I do music supervision. So someone will come to me and say to me, Kath, I'm looking for a song that has this feeling, these words. And I used to sit for hours scrolling through, like finding and like using my actual brain to like think of something.
Who does that anymore?
Their brain anymore?
How lame. You use your brain.
Well, now I've stopped doing
AI.
that because I just shove it into the AI machine and say, this is what I'm looking for. And honestly, the exact same tracks that I came up with.
Spot on.
Comes up in like 3 minutes.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think also someone asked me to ask you about earworms.
Oh, yes.
Because this is a thing.
Yes.
And there are those songs that get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
When you were talking about Crowded House just now, I just started, hey now, hey now.
Isn't it amazing?
I know, now it's going round and round in my head.
Thank goodness it's a good earworm.
Yeah, that's terrific. And somebody says here they also went to, that was their first concert too.
Oh.
So you see.
Isn't it lovely?
Oh.
So nice.
For YouTube, make ads that are 5 seconds or less, otherwise they get skipped. That's true, Tracy.
Yeah.
I actually renewed my YouTube Premium over the weekend.
Yes.
Because they've done this clever thing where if you're watching or listening to something, it cuts off when you close the YouTube app. But if you have Premium, it carries on playing. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Now I got to get it again.
Totally. I do keep it on. I like to see what's happening in the advertising industry because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And just see what music they're using or whatever the case is. And I think, I don't know. It's not exactly what we were talking about now because we were talking more local, but you look at someone like Chapel Roan and how she has completely blown up. She's been doing this for ages, just like slowly. And now she is like the biggest thing basically on the planet in terms of music and how people are relating to her. And the earworms that she has is like, it's so insane. I just recently went to Egypt. And the whole time I had one of her songs in my ear. And there I was in flipping Egypt. And I'm like,
the worst thing is,
can it just go out?
The worst thing is when you're going on an international trip, because on the plane there, the whole time, the song is going round and round in your head.
Yeah.
And it kind of becomes your song for that trip.
Totally.
So it could be 5-10 days that this fucking thing's stuck in your head. And
Pink
it could get
Pony
very
Club. That's what I sang the whole way through Egypt. I'm like flipping like in these amazing scenarios where I'm listening to the most incredible Egyptian music, and I'm like Pink Pony Club, and I was like, oh my god, I love the track. Don't get me wrong, but my word, I was like, come on.
Astrophysics says, I get that Amapiano is popular now. But with the internet, I wish the internet was around during the days of Mendoza, Brenda Fassie, Kwaito music. They were way better than Amapiano. Well, those songs are still there. You can still, you can listen to, you can go and see concerts. And this is what I love to do. I'll find performances by artists I love that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And it's like discovering gold.
Yeah. And also artists that we'll never see because they've passed on.
They're gone.
But I completely get what you're saying, that you wish the internet was around for those artists. But if you think about it, your parents were probably saying the same thing about their generation of artists. And so we have this constant thing. And I think embracing all types of music, even if you don't enjoy it.
Grant says, no. Don't talk about Earworms. He says Earworms is a WhatsApp group you're on.
Oh my God, yes it is.
So this is Grant.
Grant, I can't believe you're listening.
He listens
Hey,
to us,
friend.
and
Yes, I have a WhatsApp group called Earworms.
And what is it?
So it's about discovering new music, brand new music. That's and I think there's about 7 or 8 of us on this group. And all of us are music lovers. There's quite a few people that are people in the record industry, and we all just constantly putting amazing tracks on there or albums.
That sounds amazing.
And it's very cool because constantly, I think that, you get stuck, especially if you have a Spotify or Apple Music account. It's feeding you what it thinks you want, it thinks you want
similar
to hear,
stuff
right?
to what you already like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so in this way, we've all got sort of similar tastes, but also very out there. And I think also there becomes a competitiveness on trying to find something that nobody else has ever listened to.
Yeah, but you know what? This is also something I can talk to you about and very few other people. It's like there are people that I know who have just excellent playlists.
Yes.
And they are extremely studied and careful about what they put on there.
Yeah.
And then if you get to share their playlist, you're going to get the best stuff, right?
Yes.
And it's amazing to me how that is still part of, and it's a huge part of some people's identity. It's like, I am very, very proud of my playlist.
Yeah.
This is something that reflects me to other people.
Yes.
In a much more important way than, pronouns or the way I dress or anything else, because that's the stuff. There's something very personal about music.
Yeah.
You could put on an outfit and not really think about it too much. I think girls are better at that than guys. But if someone is listening to your playlist, they're getting an insight into your soul.
Totally. And I also think that there's a certain amount of, I want to, this is not a real word, but sort of almost wankerness.
Make up words.
A wankerness.
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 What is wankerness?
Of music people.
Oh.
They think that they're often better than everyone else.
Oh, big time.
My music taste is so much. Do you know what I mean?
But maybe
it's quite wanky. Actually,
I've been like that a little bit, and I think you might have at some point too.
I think so. I think definitely. You know what? I think back in the day, when I was very much into the rock music stuff, like I was like, rock music or die. It's like the best genre, blah, blah, blah. And then I sort of had an epiphany that all music is amazing. And the amount of time that it took for my favorite band to write a song, someone else in a completely different genre also took.
Okay, but hang on.
Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe not amount of time, but the amount of soul and energy that's put into that.
I'm with you 80% of the definition.
Yeah.
I'll explain why. Because also I agree with you completely. It took me not too long being in radio and being exposed to a whole lot of different music to realize that the genre is not the important thing. I mean, because there are people who only listen to this.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
You're missing out on so much good music, right? But I do think that not all music is great. Not by genre.
Yeah.
But some music is absolutely shit. It's just bad. It's got no hook, no melody. There's no bass. There's no freaking rhythm. It's disjointed. There's dissonance in it. It may be badly put together by a producer. It might not be the artist. So not all music is good, but all genres have their charm, right?
But what I'm saying is it might not be good, but that artist put like their heart and soul in it.
Who cares about that? Oh, please. So I can go and, are you going to put me on the field to play soccer against Lionel Messi? No, it's crap.
Yes, but I'm not saying you have
You're
to
sounding like a mom now. That's very nice of you. She's like, no, but as long as you try, honey, as long as you try, sweetheart, don't worry.
God, you're sounding like one of those wankers.
I can be a big wanker sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I really don't like is when people, you're having a sort of house party, and then some asshole says, can I play some songs? Because those people 9 times out of 10 are going to choose
100%.
terrible shit, right?
Totally.
They
I DJ'd at a wedding, and this couple had a red list of tracks that I was not allowed to play. So they used to live across the road from a wedding venue.
So no Sweet Caroline, no
Journey,
Celebration by Kool and the Gang,
none
no
of that,
Journey.
none
Oh
of that,
God,
none of
okay,
that, none
that's
of that.
good. I like these people already.
And they had, when I tell you, they printed out all of the tracks on a red piece of it right in front of the DJ setup. It was amazing, because inevitably you'll have people come and they're like, please can you play this, please can you play this, and I'm like, sorry, it's on the red list. And I got to show them, right? And one girl took the most offense, like I've never, like it was a personal affront to her. She stood there and she's like,
the one guest at the wedding,
she was like, but that song that I'm asking for is really good. And I'm like, you know what? It's a great pop song, but it's not your wedding. And they've specifically asked.
Good for you.
So eventually she said, fine, I'm going home. So I said, that's so great for you, because now you can go home and play all of those songs.
On your own.
You
loser.
But
oh, somebody says here, the show says the best Radio 3 lecturer at Boston Media House. That must be you.
Thank you.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
So yeah, lots of people loving you this morning.
Yeah, thank you. It was an amazing time.
Weddings are especially bad because once people get drunk, the DJ also gets lazy, and then they play that stuff. The worst is for me when somebody comes along and then they insist on playing this song, then it kills the vibe. And then they want to carry on. They're like, no, but I've got more.
Yes.
I used to have this one-liner. I used to just say to them, no, I have been paid to DJ.
Yeah.
So let me do this. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. No.
I'm out of practice.
I generally say I'm gonna try and play it later.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And I mean, later
they
just,
forget.
I mean, of course they forget.
Get drunk.
They're so wasted. And they're like,
right.
And then they come up with some other crap song. And you're like, I'll try and play it later. Or then I say like, I don't have it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And they're like, how? But yes, it's really, really hard being a wedding DJ.
So you can get James to do some sport. No, it's terrible. It's a hard job, and they deserve every cent they get. Plus,
how am I going to learn something?
Well,
I know the rugby was happening this
You're
weekend.
as much of a sports fan as I am, I guess. So both of us will learn from this. James, when you walk in front of the camera like that, we can see. Yeah. No, it's sort of like
James, you need to crawl
like the Dementors in Harry Potter when you just cross over there like that. By the way, Flex, have you got that picture of P Diddy? But P-E-A Diddy.
No, he's so terrible.
That's him in prison. Look,
it's so
little
awful.
P Diddy.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely? By the way, this list apparently I saw, and it's so disgusting, right? I saw a report over the weekend that Tom Hanks is a big name in the P Diddy list. He's one of the worst offenders.
You're lying.
Yes, Tom Hanks. Now I don't know if it's true or not. That's what I saw.
But where did you see it?
I'm no journalist. This is on X, on Twitter.
Yes, but where on Twitter? And
like people I follow, news sources I follow, they're like, oh,
like
the Diddy list is coming out, and Tom
news?
Hanks is at the top of it. That kind of thing.
So a real news source.
Yeah,
not
like
just
people.
Something that you were scrolling
No,
past,
these are people who've listen. I only follow. I think it's 400 or 500 different accounts. Sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot, but it's not. I mean, most people are following thousands.
Yeah.
So I actually am pretty choosy about who. I don't know whether this is true or not, but if it is, I mean, like Tom Hanks is like, I always thought he was one of those bland people in the universe.
Yeah.
If he's like some kind of filthy pervert, what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
Am I going to have to delete Forrest Gump? I mean, what am I going to have to do? This is terrible. Well, we meant the whole movie where he talks to that fucking basketball. What's that movie called? Castaway. Thank you.
Aren't we grateful though that we live in a time that all of this shit is coming out? So we can call these people out and they can go to jail and they can like.
Yeah, but I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will. I mean, all that happens is Hillary Clinton goes and kills them before they can stand trial. I mean, look what happened to Epstein. I'm just very upset about this. I don't know what to do. Let's get to James. All right, what do you got for us in
What do you have,
sports?
James?
Let's make it lighter than it was there for a second.
It was only
Guys,
dark in Tom Hanks's house. All right, so just start with the rugby because Catherine and I only know about the rugby.
Yes.
Okay, I can do that. I've got quite a bit of rugby. The Springboks did the winning thing again this week.
Yes.
We love that. For
Very
them.
good.
They played Wales. They won 45-12.
Right.
The World Rugby Awards also happened this weekend.
Oh, wow.
World Rugby of the Year winner is Peter Septitoy.
World
That's
Rugby
a
of the Year
Springbok.
winner.
Yeah, World
Player
of the Year.
Player,
That's
yeah.
what I meant.
World Rugby of the Year winner. That's great.
World Player of the Year, Peter Septitoy.
Did you not go to Boston Media House and learn how to do this stuff from Catherine? Because
No,
you could
he
do with
wasn't
some.
in my class.
You could do with some polishing.
I went to a different one. Yeah, Peter Septitoy, World Rugby Player of the Year. That's the second time he's won it. He won it
Right.
for the first time in 2019. So huge there for the box.
God, I'm
We
gonna
also-
have to ask you for a picture just now. I don't know who that is.
It's that guy. That's him.
Okay.
It's that blonde guy
Yeah.
over there. We also had some Springboks in the World Team of the Year. Malcolm Marx, Eben made the Team of the Year. Ox and Jay, Jesse Creel. And then, of course, Peter Septitoy as the World Rugby of the Year.
Rugby, yeah.
As we said, yeah.
I feel.
All right.
There were some other games this weekend. Scotland played Australia. Scotland beat them 27-13.
Mm-hmm.
Ireland, they played Fiji. They won 52-17. France, they played Argentina. France won that one 37-23. That's the rugby.
That's a close game.
Is that all you guys care about? Is just the rugby?
Well, no, it's
Okay,
just it's the
enlighten
only
us
thing
for
we
the
know
next thing.
happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because no, hang on, I do know. Wasn't there a Grand Prix in Las Vegas?
There
Ben
was a
told us
Grand
about
Prix
that
in
on
Las
Friday
Vegas, And
Okay.
Max Verstappen is now a 4-time world champion.
Oh, okay, as
of the
predicted.
Formula 1.
Yeah. That's
So-
amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of trophies there for him. He's slowly becoming one of the goats of the sport. Which is
Absolutely.
really, really cool considering how young he is. So, really cool there for Red Bull and Max Verstappen.
all right. Then tell us about the shit we don't know.
Like the
Oh,
football.
the Premier League. Hey? How clever was that?
Look at this. Look at her. She's a pro.
Okay, in the sport that matters, in the Premier League,
Okay.
in the football,
Mhm.
Liverpool did a thing this weekend, guys. So, Catherine, I'm a huge Liverpool
What?
fan.
It's okay. My oldest
Um,
son is also a Liverpool fan.
What did they
so
do?
I actually got it.
So he's had a great weekend then because Liverpool are now top of the log by, I think it's 8 points now.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a few. So
Streaking ahead
it's what we do. It's what we do.
Okay, yeah, the
Man
one off.
City-
after a while.
claiming-
It's
claiming quite a lot
been-
here.
It's been a long
Go
time
on.
coming, isn't it?
A little while, yeah.
Yeah.
We've waited.
Mhm.
We've waited. City lost this weekend 4-0 to Spurs, which is huge news coming out of the weekend. Man United did what Man United do on a weekend basis and drew, even with a new manager. So that's quite a surprise. But a new start for Man United, hopefully. And then there was also the Telkom knockout final. Sundowns played in that one against Makesi. They won 2-1. Sundowns losing out
Nice.
on a trophy this season already. And I think, guys, that's the sport.
All right, that's sufficient.
Nice and sweet.
I'm happy with that.
Thanks.
I'm
feel
very happy
very
with that.
knowledgeable now, and I'm able to, I don't know, go to a party in 4 ways. Be able to converse with.
Is that what happens? You
I
don't
don't know, I
like
haven't
you
been-
don't
I-
like four ways.
I'm just using it as an example.
I know,
could
but I-
probably go to Boxburg and be the same vibe. I don't know.
Does
Mm.
I live in 4 ways.
Yeah,
It's
that's
such
part of
a-
yeah. There we go.
Oh, yes,
It's
that's
such a
why
great
you
place
had
to
that
be.
one sentence.
Yeah, that's
So
why my
winning.
English
4
makes
ways.
sense.
All right, very very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I've got a couple of funny things that I want you to see quickly. We've got a little bit of time before Dr. Hanan, so I sent James a bunch of stuff here.
Yeah.
James, won't you just show Catherine that, like, this is an extremely large giant. She's a giantess,
I've seen it.
and the tiny
and
tiny
they're
little woman,
friends.
and they're friends. Okay,
So amazing. I've watched this whole chat.
and they're friends. So have a look.
Friends.
Here's the giantess and the tiny little midgety person. And they actually, I don't know if the small one talks at all.
She does, but she only speaks in her native language, which
Okay, like she's it's probably Hindi or something because she's from India.
Yeah.
But she's tiny. She could fit in this cup.
She is. She's like a doll.
She's this
She's
tiny.
a total little doll.
And then the
she's
giantess is
a
enormous.
giantess.
and she has to sit in a special chair because obviously you know,
Yeah.
it's your bones and your spine
and she also
and your
walks. I think she walks with
neck.
a
Has
walker. Yes.
and
But what I thought was really lovely was they said that they bonded over just general woman things.
yeah.
Like makeup.
In fact, that's the
and-
clip I've got for you.
Okay.
So take
I
a
don't
look
wanna
here.
preempt
And
it.
try not to be
Sorry.
put off by the giantess's quite deep voice. It's obviously also an effect of being so enormous.
Yeah.
So have a look at this.
When you guys met?
It was wonderful.
I bet.
Wonderful. I was waiting to meet Jyoti for a long time,
Yeah.
like 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I know her even before my Guinness
Look at her.
World Record journey
She's
had
a
started.
little-
And it was
Look at her.
amazing. She is gorgeous.
There they are
She's
having
so
tea.
lovely. And we became friends
It's insane.
immediately. And we have a lot of in common. We both love self-caring ourselves,
little.
you know, jewelries, makeup,
Yeah.
and doing our hair. Yeah.
I love how you're so different, but you bonded over exactly the same things, like
Yeah.
all women and girls do.
We might look opposite, but we have so much in common.
Yeah.
That's a lesson for us all. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
God. Yeah, I mean, listen, that interview of the guy, it's a lesson for us all. Thank you very much. Just shoot him in the head. I mean, really, she must be careful though, because if she sits on a chair and her little friend she could crush her to death.
She could.
She wouldn't know. The
could.
little friend, she'd make little noises, but you wouldn't hear her under the giant.
Terrible.
You
No,
got to look
it's
out
really,
carefully.
really terrible.
I mean, if her walker comes
Yeah.
down, crashing down, have you seen? This is the funniest shit ever, and I haven't got pictures to show you.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen Gary Barlow's son?
Gary Barlow. Is he a soccer player?
James, see if you can find Gary Barlow's son. This is a thing that started on the internet
Yeah.
probably about 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a bit older, but that's when I became aware
Yeah.
of it. So Gary Barlow, formerly of Take That.
Oh, that
Okay.
guy. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why I thought he was a soccer player.
No, it doesn't matter. He might as well have been. Gary Barlow's son is like fucking monstrous.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the tallest child in the world. He's fucking big, right? And now people are going through old Gary Barlow photos and saying, like, there's a picture of him holding this like stripy cane up to the camera, and they're like, "Here's Gary Barlow giving his son a straw," and then then they'll show him Gary Barlow sitting in the car, and they're like, Gary Barlow test driving one of his kids' Hot Wheels.
God, the internet is sometimes so,
It's so good.
incredible.
See if you can
And
find a
people
picture of
are
Gary Barlow's
so
son.
Genius.
Yeah.
God,
So
I
when
love
you
it.
see these size differences, I mean, it's
Yes.
like it made me think of these two who are friends.
But they are
and-
so cute.
Yeah,
I love it.
sure.
Yeah.
And here we go. Look at the size of Gary
Oh,
Barlow's son,
wow.
right?
God, and how old is he? He looks like he's like 14 or 15.
I don't know, but I mean, they all look like midgets and dwarves compared to him.
That's so insane.
I'm so glad that it was the son that ended up so big, not the daughter, because it's very difficult for you're a tall girl.
I am.
A lot of tall girls have a real hard time because guys are so easily intimidated.
Yes.
I mean, guys are intimidated by tall other guys.
Yes.
And if a woman is very tall, it's hard for her to get a boyfriend or to
Yeah.
have relationships because guys are so insecure about being short
Yes.
and especially being shorter than
Yeah.
whoever. So it's something to think about. But at least for the son,
Yes,
he's
at
tall.
least
If
it's
it
the
was
son. And I mean, like,
if it was
he's,
the daughter, it would be.
yeah. I mean, generally, like if you look at dating apps and stuff, the guys will put their height on there
Mm,
if they want to flex.
already.
Yes.
Uh,
Because girls like a tall man. I mean, it is what it is.
So I have a couple of friends who they're not short by any means.
Yeah.
And they're not ugly and they're not stupid.
Yeah.
But it bugs them that they're not over 6 foot.
Mm.
Like it
Yeah.
bothers them.
Yeah.
They'll bring it up way too many times.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk to Dr.
I was
Hanan about
about
this.
to say.
Find out about these people with their
Yes.
insecurities.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one thing I wanted to show you
Okay.
is the giantess.
Yes.
The other one, you saw all this furore about the Jaguar ad,
Yes.
okay, which is getting
I did, which is
massive
like,
blowback.
you know, and I mean, it's not something that I normally give a shit about
No,
because I'm not
but I mean,
really
you're in
a car.
advertising.
Yes. I'm not a car person. But
Dr. Hanan, are you just hanging around in the background there? We didn't realize you were ready for us. Sorry, we'll come back to Jaguar in a second. He's like lurking
Yeah,
behind Catherine.
yeah.
He's just standing there.
Hi.
How you, Doc?
Oh, wrong side.
Just chilling. How's it, guys?
Good. All right. So help us with this quickly, because we were talking about people who are insecure about their height, and we had that video just now, or the clip of the giantess and then the tiny little person. And being short is for some guys especially a major obstacle to their happiness. Why do you think that is?
Well, social psychology says that a woman wants to be protected by a man physically, and a man wants, and his main role is to protect. And height and strength we look up to as a form of power, protection, strength, the ability to look after or your family, to look after your tribe. So that's why height and strength and power is very much still valued.
Okay. So these guys aren't insecure. That's just normal.
Yeah, completely.
All
And
right.
how do you get like over that? Because I feel that it becomes such a massive thing for them that it becomes a hindrance to relationship building.
Yeah, so the brain is the most amazing supercomputer on earth. On the one hand, it can work out deep calculations relatively quickly, but on the other hand, it's very simplistic and very dumb. In other words, if I ask you to multiply 7 by 2.3 and at the same time spell your name backwards, your head will just explode.
Yeah, I
You
was
can do
trying to
one,
do it now.
or the other. You can't do both at the same time, and we can use this to our advantage because our brains can't focus on one thing and at the same time another. So if you have an insecurity in one area and you have a strength in another area, the moment you focus on your strength, your brain cannot focus on the weakness. So if you're very smart and you focus on that, then your brain can't focus on the fact that you're short. If you are very studious or very good in a particular skill set, if you focus on that, your brain cannot focus on something that you're not so good at. So focus on your strengths, focus on things that you're good at, focus on your skill set, because that becomes your world. Your world becomes what you focus on.
I know somebody who's really good at doing that for other people. So he will never say a nasty thing about anyone, which I think is tremendously admirable, right? He will find something nice to say about even the most dreadful people. He'll say, she may be not the prettiest, but she's very intelligent, and that's good. Good for her. Or he dresses very well, or he's got nice songs on his playlist. Whatever.
Great pair of socks.
Great socks. That's what matters. And I remember being taught at like nursery school, if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say anything.
And Gareth decided never to do that.
I decided that was terrible advice. And fuck those teachers. They were all fat anyway.
There's an incredible skill, guys, in focusing on what you're good at. People think self-esteem comes from within. It's not true. Self-esteem comes from feedback. That's why, if you put the Ferrari on the racetrack, it's going to be very confident. If you put the Ferrari on the off-road track, it's going to be very insecure, because self-esteem comes from feedback. So the aim is really to put yourself in environments and situations where you are skilled at, where you get wonderful feedback, because that will increase your self-esteem.
What did you say to me once about how you can't get angry with a fish because it won't climb a tree? Something like that.
Exactly. The best way to make somebody feel stupid is to put them in environments that they're not built for. So if you make a fish climb a tree and you make a monkey try and swim, their confidence will be zero. Yeah. If you put the people in the right environments where they thrive, their confidence will go up.
All right. Well, I see here that we were going to talk to you about something else completely. And maybe you have some comments on this, because there could be people who are trying to develop their own personal philosophy. I see it's very trendy at the moment for especially guys to be calling themselves stoic. Okay.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of that going on. Maybe people are reading Marcus Aurelius and his meditations again. They should. It's very good stuff. And I like stoic philosophy, but I do think there's a lot of very superficial stuff going on there. People who have a philosophy that is a guiding set of principles for their life. This can be good, but it can also be a little bit myopic sometimes. Like if you see everything through that filter, you could be missing out on some stuff. What's your take on that, Doc?
So I do believe that people should live to a particular constitution, their own 10 commandments. It allows you to stay stable in a very chaotic world. But the question is, how do you know whether your philosophy is working, whether it serves you in any particular way? So the best way to figure out whether your philosophy is working, because to your point, Gareth, maybe you need to adapt your philosophy. Maybe your philosophy, your constitution is not working for you. But how do you know that? Because we are so biased, we think that our way is the only way and our way always works. Well, you judge it against the context of your goal. So the moment you set goals for your life and you are reaching those goals, then you know whatever it is that you're doing, your constitution, the engine that drives your action, your game plan, your blueprint, your system, your method is working. But if you're not achieving those goals, then obviously you need to revisit your core beliefs, your constitution, your philosophy in managing your life. So you judge it against the context of a goal.
And I think that probably also changes with age.
Yeah.
Like at a certain
Your goals
age.
change with that.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain age, it becomes a very attractive proposition to sound like you've got a philosophy just because your friends will be impressed or whatever.
Yes.
Like in your 20s.
Yeah.
Maybe in your 30s, you actually start reading a bunch of other stuff too. And you may change your mind completely. You may go, I mean, if I think about how my political attitudes have shifted over the course of probably 30, 40 years, and how I feel about religion has shifted over those 30, 40 years, I think it's probably a good thing that I am not still stuck in those jungle gyms of, you can only swing like this and you can only climb like that. And those kinds of things can be quite limiting if people only stick to that. I mean, how did you come up with a kind of your hippie stroke
My hippies.
Catherine philosophy?
I think that's also just years of learning. We find all of this knowledge through our mistakes.
Yeah.
And so now I've reached a point where, I've read a lot of stuff, and I read one book in particular called The Choice by Edith Eger. And that was the spark to suddenly like turn things around and do self-love and self-care. And I just find books that resonate with me. And I have now started just adding people and taking away people that don't resonate with me.
Right.
And really just you make, I think you just surround yourself with what you want in life. And, they say that as you get older, your friendship group gets smaller.
Right.
Which I think is actually so important, because we realize that we want to align ourselves with other people that have the same mindset as us. And yeah, so I think that it's a whole knowledge thing, and it's just making these mistakes and wanting to. So I want to be the best version of myself. I really do.
Yeah, I think if
I want to be flipping amazing. I mean, I am. I'm so amazing. I'm so amazing.
No, you are.
At this
Otherwise,
point
why
in
would
my
we have
life.
you on the show?
Yes.
We wouldn't have you here if you were some loser who's going to come in here and talk shit.
I wrote in my journal the other day how I am so excited to grow old with myself.
Oh, you're going to be a fun old lady. Let me just also say that this journaling, that's an interesting idea, because what are the benefits, Doc? I'm sure you've got some patients who do this. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he writes notes down on his phone about interesting, important things that he hears from other people. And then he kind of goes over them when he's lying in bed at night or whatever, and thinks it through, or he, writes it into an actual journal. This is probably a very healthy way to behave, right?
Yeah, it's very cathartic. It's very creative to be able to put your thoughts on paper. And the best way why I encourage my patients to journal is that the best way to learn is by teaching. And when you actually reteach yourself, whether it's some notes of the day, or maybe some interesting thing that you've come across, or maybe a thought that you've had, when you reteach yourself, that's the best way to learn for yourself, and to incorporate it into your own life. But one thing that I want people to understand in terms of setting these constitutions or these laws for themselves or principles, ask yourself one very important question. Am I getting what I want? Life is the great equalizer. It won't lie to you. If you're doing the wrong thing, life is not going to reward you. If you're doing the wrong thing, life is just going to punish you. You know, you can try bash your head against the wall as many times as you want. Life will continue punishing you until you change your method, until you change your system. So ask yourself, am I getting what I want in terms of my career?
Yeah.
Am I getting what I want in terms of financial security?
Yeah.
Am I getting what I want in terms of family, friends, romantic, diet, exercise, and sleep, and my health? And if the answer is no, and that's a continuous pattern, then doesn't matter how much you think your constitution is correct and it serves you, obviously the universe is sending you a message that it doesn't. So adjust your way of living life, engaging with life, change the engine that gets you what you want. You know, if you don't like where you're at, you can move. If you don't like what you're getting, you can change. So just get off your butt and just move forward with the right philosophy. So if you're not getting what you want, go and change your constitution.
Spot on. I mean, I can't disagree with that.
Absolutely.
Are you quite disciplined about this journal?
So yeah, I did a book. I mean, I didn't myself write a book, but there's a book called The Artist's Way, and it's about getting back your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And in there, the main thing that you have to start doing is the journal. And it doesn't have to be. I mean, sometimes I write stuff and I have no idea. I can't even read back what I wrote. Because it's all over the place or whatever, but it's just releasing those thoughts. And there's it's also like writing down things that I've suddenly had an epiphany about or realized that I was going about something the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's just about releasing and understanding how my life is working, etc. And so, yeah, I do it every single day. And I've actually gotten my daughter to start doing it. So she does it every single evening. She journals. We don't have a page limit. I sort of try and make sure that I do at least 2 pages.
Wow.
And
that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just an A5.
Yeah, but I would be able to write a sentence and a half and I'd be, oh, that's enough for today.
Challenge you. I think you should do it. I really do. I think it's an amazing thing to do.
Okay. You see, you're saying it. Dr. Hanan's saying it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should think about this. Of course.
It's an investment in yourself. You know, the best and the most important relationship that you'll ever have is with yourself. And when you sit down, imagine writing to a friend, you're investing in the friendship. And when you write to yourself and you communicate to yourself, and you can invest in yourself in many ways. You can read a good book. You can listen to great music. You can go for a walk. You can engage with your own thoughts. But writing and journaling, it's an investment in the relationship with yourself for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
We have. I'll try this, but I think there are probably a lot of people who could benefit from this. That don't include me. I've got enough shit to do, but I'll see. Who knows?
You're taking time out for yourself.
Please. My whole life is about myself. Are you kidding? What do you think? I do whatever I want anyway. I mean, who was it? One of my friends said to me the other day, she's like, when are you coming to Cape Town? So I said, whenever I fucking want.
Yeah.
Which is nice, right?
Yes, it is. It's wonderful.
Freedom.
Yes.
Prize that shit above all else. All right, Dr. Hanan, thank you.
Yeah.
Good
all
to
right,
see
guys.
you.
Have a good week.
Thank you. And you. All right, we're going to take a quick break at 7:00 and we'll be back with Catherine Grenfell. It's always lovely to have her around, and I haven't seen her in a long time, so we've got catching up to do. And she's just, I mean, you can see she's in her, she's totally in the right vibe.
I am.
You're in the what would you call it? Your power.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
I can hear it. I can see it. I love that.
Yeah. Along with The Artist's Way, I read a book called Women Who Run with the Wolves. And a lot of women will know about this book. And it really is super empowering, super finding like exactly who you are. And it's incredible. I am 100% madly in love with myself. I am so grateful for where I am. And yeah, it's an incredible time.
Good. Way better than like being miserable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Way better. I mean,
Way better.
you know, given the option of miserable
Yes.
or being in love with yourself, there's only one choice, everybody.
Absolutely.
Get into it. All right, we'll be back in a minute or two. Don't go anywhere. Passionate about people. Fire anyone. Just chase them out of the building. Set them on fire and chase them out of the building if they say, we're passionate about people. That is what the dumbest people I've ever met say all the time. They don't know what it means. Because they actually hate everybody.
Of course they do.
People
They
who
hate
talk like that
themselves.
don't like anybody. They say passionate about people as a way to cover up the fact that they're actually misandrists and misogynists. They just don't like anyone. Diverse. When anyone says diverse, I'm out. They must be a moron. The more mixed up a group is, the better it is. We know that that's just nonsense. Certainly some groups seem to do very, very well. Other groups seem to do very, very much less well. Inclusive, someone uses that word, you just know it's because they were bullied as a child.
Yeah.
You just know when someone says, please include me, it's because no one wants to. Bring our authentic selves to work. No, you mustn't. You may be into the Marvel movies to a ludicrous degree where you like dressing up as Spider-Man in all of your spare time. And at home, you go pew, pew, and you... You have ropes in your entrance hall that you swing from, but you don't bring that to work.
Sitting is the new smoking. They say for every hour you sit, you should get up and walk around.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're not doing that. Exercise, people always find an excuse not to exercise. And these are the things that we have to address. Even if a person is going to go into some form of therapy, they're not going to derive the full benefit if they're not optimizing their lifestyle. So that's always a starting point.
Especially also with diabetes. So people think I'm eating food, right? Things like what food they're eating, biscuits, like heavy starch, bread, Coke, and they have no idea that, look, your food is actually, the quality matters. I learned that from Suhail also. Like Suhail will tell me he eats a lot, but good quality food, and he's healthy that way.
I think a good piece of advice to give a patient or someone that you're talking with, when they look at the ingredients, if the ingredients are anything other than food, it's probably not a good thing to eat. Meaning, if it's chemicals you can't pronounce, if the first ingredient is sugar, if it's all additives and it's this refined flour and that kind of starch, it's poor quality food. And that's something to reduce or avoid if possible.
Yeah.
Four
Oh.
doors for more whores. Fantastic.
Sure.
That's a sticker for James's car that he's very keen on. All right, we have Karyn Grenfell with us. It is a Monday morning. It is already the 25th of November.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus. Black Friday this week.
Yeah,
I don't
do that.
I don't participate in
No,
any of that
neither
shit
do
either.
I. Neither do
But in America, it's Thanksgiving,
I. Yes.
right? Which is, I think, a much better idea. Like you get around the table with your nearest and dearest and you say something you're thankful for. But no, we take all the shit holidays like Halloween and Black Friday and we
Yes.
borrow those.
Yeah.
We don't
Well,
take the
I mean,
nice
we should
one.
be doing the Thanksgiving every day.
I think
There's
so.
my hippie vibes. coming
But
out.
being
Yes.
grateful,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
okay, so I always give Oprah Winfrey a very hard time because she used to say things like, if you just believe in it, you can be it, and all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
No, it's nonsense. I mean, like this, she's ruined many children by turning them into unhappy adults as a result of the fact that their dreams haven't come true.
Yes.
And she's sitting there in Montecito with, billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But she did get that right, that gratitude thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Gratitude. And I don't think it was her idea. It's like, this is ancient philosophy.
Yeah. And
If-
it's something you can add into your journal, by the way.
Oh, there we go.
That's what you can actually start off with.
By the time you leave here, you may have turned me into a fucking hippie.
I can't wait.
Um,
I'm so excited.
All right. So a couple of things we've got to get to this morning. First of all, someone sent me a picture of this toilet scale. This is an actual thing that apparently they've made. You wonder what you could buy your family member for
Oh
Christmas.
my gosh.
A toilet seat scale shows how much weight is lost after you take a dump.
You know, I mean, I quite like this vibe. You know, it's not even about the weight thing. It's just about, you know, when you take a great shit, how
What makes it
it's
so great?
fantastic.
It's just like,
You just feel like you have lost weight.
yeah.
And it's not about like,
Okay.
I'm not like precious about losing weight thing. It's
No.
it's like just
A release.
A release
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
you know, just this
Absolutely.
extra unnecessary,
like-
well, like
I've emptied the
uncomfortable.
tank.
It's fantastic. I love that. I wonder if it works though. I'd love to check it out.
I think it's a gimmick. But there we go. If you're looking for a gift idea, everybody,
you come
know-
out of the bathroom and you're like,
Yeah.
guys, today was
a
the
whole
best
kilogram.
dump. Best dump.
I managed to
I love it.
evacuate an entire kilogram. Isn't that great? All right. So you were telling me that
Yes.
you gifted yourself, because we played a clip from the doctors and they talk
Yes.
about all kinds of front and back issues,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you said you gifted yourself,
Yeah.
On this process of kind of
My
looking
self-love
after-
and
looking
self-care,
after
yeah.
you. Yeah, right. You gave yourself a colonoscopy
Yes.
as a present.
Yes.
What a
So
present.
It was an amazing present. So it's a little bit of a downer. My dad died of colon cancer.
That's a serious
so
thing. Very serious
part
thing,
of
yeah.
this self-care, and I think that often we think that self-care is like having a bubble bath and
No.
you know, just chilling out and whatever.
It's making sure you don't get colon
Self-care,
cancer. Yeah.
absolutely. And so I had a list of things that I wanted to do, and that was at the top of the list. And it just so happened that when I went to the gastroenterologist, I was like, what date? And I think it was like 2 days before my birthday. And I was like, what a great gift,
But
birthday present
they-
to myself.
so you said, I feel like I want a colonoscopy.
Yeah,
And they
well-
said, well, people don't usually ask for these.
Yes,
They get told.
They did. Yes, yeah, they did. And but I did say my dad died of colon cancer.
Okay.
I'm getting to
It's a
that
bit of
time.
context.
Yeah, I did give a bit. Don't just feel like a colonoscopy
Yeah,
randomly.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to let them put a camera up my asshole and like
know.
explore my intestine.
and it's quite a thing. I mean, it's also that.
But were
that
you're
you-
awake.
No. That one you under,
Okay.
and which I'm grateful for. I don't
Sure.
know if I really want
don't
to
wanna be
be
awake for that.
awake for
No.
someone shoving something up my ass.
No.
It's not my vibe. I know it's like a lot of people. That's cool.
Sure.
It's just really not my vibe.
Yeah.
So
And they
I
found
was
nothing?
under. They found nothing, which
That's
was amazing.
Great relief.
It was a great relief. And let me tell you, you've got to drink all of this stuff beforehand
to
release everything in your bowels. And that was also like quite amazing. You are clean,
you're just
clean.
basically like a new shiny car.
I was exactly that.
All right. Well, there's a conversation we didn't know we were going to have this morning.
Absolutely.
Take a look at this inspiring TED Talk. All right. This is my favorite TED Talk of all time.
Wow.
And yeah, I think you'll enjoy it too. So if you need some inspiration this morning, you've come to the right place. Have a look at this.
I'm fat. Patriarchy. I'm lazy, greedy, unhealthy, irresponsible.
And then?
I'm fat. I am the elephant in the room.
Very inspiring. I feel like that's the best.
Gareth, I feel like
the
that's
best TED Talk
that
I've ever
was like
seen.
completely edited and made for you. Just so you can prove
didn't
all your
edit
fat
it.
points.
I didn't edit it,
I
but
know
I
you
wish
didn't,
I
but
had.
yeah.
I kind of, whoever did that, I'm very proud of you. It's just her with like mouth breathing and then I'm fat, and then there's more mouth breathing. It was great. I'm really, really impressed with that. Greatest TED Talk ever. I don't watch TED Talks, but that one I'll watch again. You want to watch it again?
No, I don't want to watch
No,
it.
okay. I didn't think you'd like it as much as I would.
No.
But I loved it. Why is she wearing my tablecloth? Says Congo Chris. Well, she put a belt around it. Like, give her a bit of credit. She's very fashion forward. All right, then we talked about this Jaguar ad.
Yes.
Okay, so you said you don't really care about cars, which is fine.
Yeah.
And advertising also, some of it's good, some of it's bad. So what? But in this case, this one has got an enormous amount of
oh my God, they've done their job.
And noise and yeah. I mean, you could argue that this is the whole job of advertising, is to get attention. But I don't know whether it's good attention. Like, there is such a thing as bad advertising. And there's certainly such a thing as bad publicity.
I think it is fantastic.
You like the ad?
I love the ad. They are completely, and I think that this is the amazing thing about advertising. Number one, they are coming up with a whole new target market. So your age, Elon Musk vibes, they are all having like a complete meltdown about it.
No,
because
it's a terrifically shit ad that has nothing to do with a car. It could just as well have been for scented candles. It could just as well have been for adult nappies. It could just as well have been for a pen.
It's fine.
But
everyone is talking about the brand
because it's so shit. And then, I mean,
it's only a certain age group that is saying it's shit.
No, but the age group you're talking about, this new age group of people, they can't afford cars. They don't have any money.
No, I think that there are people out there that do have money, and those are the people that they're targeting.
We'll see. The proof will be in the pudding.
It will be,
because sales are the important thing here, right? So if they sell 100,000 cars based on this new ad campaign, I'll be impressed. But here's the response from Jaguar themselves, because now obviously they have to deal with the second wave of criticism.
Yes.
So here's a screenshot of something that's going on with that, which I think is quite interesting. Jaguar boss says criticism of new advert is vile, hatred, and intolerance. And then someone says, translation, I made an advert so bad that it may bring down my whole company, and now I'm having a tantrum. You don't agree?
I don't. I think that they have paid for a certain amount of advertising and gotten probably a million times that.
Yes, but they are in the business of selling cars. If they were in the attention-seeking business, absolutely, I'd agree with you.
All of the cars are attention-seeking.
Yeah, but
they are all attention-seeking.
I feel like you may have a point here that I'm going to have to concede. Yeah, I do think this is going to affect them kind of badly, though, because they are, what people are looking for when they're buying a car. And it could be a number of things, but I certainly don't think it's like this weird, androgynous, bizarre, like, means nothing, dystopian.
Do you think if you are a Jaguar driver, and obviously neither you or I are Jaguar drivers, because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I definitely can't afford it. But if and I know that people get super obsessed about car brands, etc.
Yeah.
If I am passionate about it because I have a Jaguar, or it is my dream car because of such and such things, you buy it because, I mean, obviously you buy it because of the name as well, but it's safe, or it's this and it's this. You're still going to buy the car because you absolutely love it. This ad campaign is not going to make you not buy the car. I don't think so. I really don't. I think if you really want something, you're going to buy it.
Let's see what everybody's, maybe they agree with you. Maybe I need to shut up and learn something from this. So I see here, Jaguar's stock price has only fallen by 75% since July. That's not so great.
Okay, but that's before the advertising campaign, so we can't.
They were already into this woke shit by then. Snai says it's nice to have a co-host that disagrees with Gareth. Absolutely, and I'm thrilled. Listen, I love it.
Good.
No one disagrees with me anymore. It's very hard to find people to argue with. Faguar, Let Zero from Budweiser says Bitcoin but go woke, go broke. The ad sucks. Jaguar drivers have always been stereotyped, but now it's gone too far, says you. What engine and safety features has the car got, says Percy. And
I mean, if we were prepared for this topic, we would have those answers for you.
No, but
but no, we don't know much about cars.
No, that doesn't matter though,
that
because I think this is about. You're right in this respect too. It's about the ad, and of course the brand, and we can discuss the nature of, the cars that Jaguar has brought out in the last 10 years or whatever. But I don't know that anyone's going to necessarily sell the car if they've already got it. But I think advertising does persuade people.
Yeah.
And this may have the opposite effect, that it may persuade people to rather look at another car. That's what I'm thinking. Certainly the people who could afford or would buy Jaguars.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see. Because again, we will tell in a couple of months, right?
Yeah.
If it gets completely blown out of the water and
Totally.
it's a huge success, then I'll have to have you back to go, nah, I told you so.
Absolutely.
And I will. I'll get you back to do that.
But I also think, the advertising whole perspective has been done here. That they only bought a certain amount of advertising. And they have gotten
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Look at us two
right.
two uncar people talking about it here in South Africa.
No, you're spot on.
Yeah.
All right, is Karyn on? Very good. All right, so listen, Karyn Maughan has written a book, and I want you to know all about this book. And I thought, well, what better way to get talking about it than to bring her on? You're a big fan of
I am a
Karyn
fan.
as well.
I am a fan. I
Catherine's
follow
big
her on
fan.
social media, and
Excellent.
She's
So
incredible.
She's, of course, an award-winning journalist, a documentary producer, and a best-selling author. The book is called I Will Not Be Silenced, and no one's got any chance of that, Karyn Maughan. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so happy to see Kath as well.
Oh,
okay.
So lovely to see you.
I'm coming live out of a retirement village in Pinelands, guys. I'm with my parents, hence the decor.
I was going to
You
say,
might even see
very
pictures
nice.
of me in the background.
I was going to say, you're not old enough to be in a retirement village. What the hell's going on
Well,
here?
I hope the screen is right.
Yeah, it's
but
fine.
Basically, this was the place when all the drama happened that I stayed for quite a few months, because I felt like I was the safest here, because no one gets anything past people in a retirement village. Everyone here knows exactly what's going on at all times.
Yes.
So
They know which cars are driving past.
Exactly. You are 100% safe in a retirement village.
Okay, so Karyn, let's just sketch the scenario for everybody, because you've written books before. I mentioned that you probably, for many people in this country, came to prominence in your excellent and unparalleled coverage of like Oscar's trial 10 years ago, which is really where a lot of people were hanging on your every word, because you were in the story, you knew all the people involved, you kind of had an ability to explain who was who in the zoo and what happened and how the evidence is being brought and all that stuff, because we were obsessed at that time. And you've done lots of other stuff that is noteworthy and award-winning, but the thing that I suppose is most alarming to people is that you weren't able to just be a journalist. You weren't able to just report stories, because there were actually people who wanted to silence you. You've had people trying to take you to court and go through legal routes, but there are also people who wanted to kill you and wanted to remove you because you were a massive impediment to them being able to carry on doing the bad things that they were doing. So just give us an idea of what brought about the desire to write a book about this and to relive some of those very, very traumatic experiences that you've had, and the difficulty of not just being a reporter and journalist, but actually being a public figure who other public figures wanted to get out of the way.
I think the thing was with my situation, it was so bizarre. You literally had former President Jacob Zuma falsely accusing me of being unlawfully leaked his medical records by the NPA in a way that he said implicated prosecutor Billy Downer, his corruption prosecutor, in violations of the NPA Act, and saying that I should go to jail for 15 years for that. And you end up in this situation where, like, a court that you've been in since you were like a kid, because I was covering this since 2009. I was like a baby journalist. You're now sitting in a criminal dock, and Carl Niehaus and Mzwanele Mani are like filming you. And Julius Malema is happily retweeting pictures of you in the dock. And it's this whole like weird shaming experience And, you know, as the courts showed, the courts that I fundamentally believe in, showed that was ultimately, you know, an abusive prosecution. It was bought with an ulterior purpose. It was bought with the desire to delay his corruption trial by, you know, focusing this attempt on the removal of Billy Downer, who is an excellent prosecutor, didn't deserve any of the stuff that happened to him. And then ultimately the court found that it was to silence my journalism because I'd sort of been there from the beginning. So what happens a lot with Jacob Zuma's litigation is that his lawyers he will often radically misrepresent what has happened in the entire very long history of this case. So they'll focus on judgments that ruled in their favor, but not mention the fact that those judgments were overturned on appeal. They'll focus on these conspiracy elements and then not focus on the fact that those were essentially found to be highly speculative and baseless by the SCA. And I think that the fact that I was the last remaining journalist who was going, no, wait, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. I think that probably irritated them a little bit. And Zuma himself said that I had perpetuated this false narrative about him utilizing this litigation strategy as a so-called Stalingrad strategy, and that he regarded me as a propagandist for the NPA. And the court said, you know, he's made it very, very clear in his own words why he wants to silence her with this particular prosecution.
I do want to get into some of the details around this, but I'm really interested in the fact that Jacob Zuma seems to be like Teflon. I mean, the man's he's substantially older than most people in politics get to be. He's still very active, whether he's being propped up there for the purposes of, you know, family legacy, or whether there are people just jumping off the EFF ship onto the MK ship. I get the feeling that he is a wily old fox, but that he also has the hide of a rhino. He's just able to survive a constant barrage of court cases, accusations, public, you know, kind of, what would we even call it? It's sort of the public throwing him under the bus and blaming him for everything that went wrong over the last 10 years. And while he's responsible for a large part of that, I also get the feeling that this guy is just, he's like a nuclear bomb could go off and he'd survive.
I actually write in the book that, you know, there's kind of a tragedy to him, because Jacob Zuma did spend 10 years in Robben Island. And when the Rand Daily Mail, I think they interviewed him, not a single person ever visited him. And I know there was one activist who used to send him a birthday card every year. And when he came out, he just said, you know, thank you. That was kind of the only mail that I got, you know. And when KwaZulu-Natal, I mean, anyone who knows South African history, when Natal was literally ravaged by violence between the IFP that was being armed by the apartheid military intelligence division and the ANC, you know, thousands of people died. That was kind of one of the centers of bloodshed in the horrific apartheid story. He was the person who walked into that situation and brokered peace. And then when the IFP win the province in the first national elections, he's the guy who's like, no, to the ANC, we mustn't contest this. We've got to accept it. And you go, and there's this interview that they have with him when he's like in his 50s, and he's talking about, no, you know, in the next election, he wants to retire because he wants to get a cottage by the sea because he loves the sea. And you go from that to this, like, you know, person who thinks that Barack Obama's CIA attempted to murder him through his wife.
This is the poisoning, right?
Yeah, this is the poisoning now. He regards Vladimir Putin as a very close, you know, comrade, etc., which is understandable given the history of the Soviet Union supporting the ANC during apartheid. But it's gone beyond this, where he's accused a number of people very close to him of trying to kill him. So the paranoia doesn't just extend to like so-called Western nations. It extends to his inner circle. There are people that he has totally turned his back on because he believes they're part of the Western forces that are stacked against him. And, you know, I've spoken to those people. And Gareth, you will know, like when the rape case was happening, he was surrounded, and the early stages of the corruption case. I mean, look at the people he had around him. It was Zizi Kodwa, it was Bladen Zamande,
Zwanele
Mani. Yeah. Well, not Mani. That's the latest one.
No,
but
Mani's suddenly come. He's suddenly come back into the fold. But yeah, you're right. There are all these people like protecting him and surrounding him and supporting him.
And they've all gone. And some of them are his biggest critics. Vavi is outspokenly critical of Zuma. And so, you have this situation where the community that he was in, that was backing him into his presidential aspirations, has dissipated. And essentially now the MK, has become somewhat of a retirement home for people either implicated in serious corruption, impeached individuals, removed, first of the democracies, impeached individuals, and with this whole narrative of grievance and, we've been done by this sort of systemic refusal to be accountable or to believe that they can legitimately be held accountable. And this, what's also extremely sad for me is that the MK party's entire ethos is about a return to parliamentary sovereignty, which was the system that allowed the apartheid government to keep jailing Robert Sobukwe.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do think
it's very sad.
If you look at the kind of people who MK proffered to us as their candidate list, I mean, these are all people who've, not one of them has taken responsibility for their role in state capture, for all of the things that happened that we all know are objectively bad things in the country. And these are kind of like the people who did it. And we're expected to believe that they are now going to come in and be cleansed and bring us a new dawn, like Cyril was supposed to at some point. But I do want to ask you, and I know Kath's got some questions for you too about how it felt to go through it personally and how it continues to perhaps be for you, because these things they create deep scars, and maybe they make you less reticent or more reticent, less keen to report on certain things which might get you into trouble. And I mean, there is a lot to be said for journalists who are putting themselves on the front line, whether it's in war zones, whether it's reporting on stuff that will get them into personal danger. You don't think that journalists should never appear in court? There are obviously reasons that can happen, right?
Well, I mean, look at Maria Ressa. I mean, that's in the Philippines, and she was, I think that prosecution is still ongoing, but she, anyone who knows about Philippines and the leadership there and the war, the so-called war on drugs that left so many people dead, there was some very good, important journalism that happened there. And one of the journalists who exposed that then got sort of pursued with trumped up charges, some of which have sort of, fallen by the wayside. But, she had to fight like quite a tough battle. And I mean, the bonus of being South African is people will say, look, it was very hard, but I didn't ever have a moment where I thought I'm actually going to go on trial for this. I really didn't believe that, because I've been in these courts for so many years, and, we have a democratic system. It's an imperfect system. It has all kinds of shortfalls, but fundamentally, I do believe that we have a constitutional democracy where, the right thing will happen in the end. And I think that my case proved that. And the amazing bonus about it is that we got judgments that already have protected other journalists. The judgment in my case was used in the Moti, the interdict he tried to bring against Bongani, or successfully brought, was overturned. They cited that judgment. The Alex Mafia trying to interdict, defamation interdict against my company's 24. So that judgment is useful. And, my case was so completely clear cut that it enabled the courts almost to put in place this protection that I fundamentally believe will help and support a number of other journalists who come after me. And if that's what happened, then it was worth it, then it was definitely worth it.
Well, I'm glad you're not in an orange uniform. I mean, I don't think that would.
No, not to do the Zile Zoom.
No, let's not do that. So I'm sure Kath's got some questions for you too, because this kind of thing has a personal element where you got to.
Yeah.
We think journalists and we think people in politics and we think people in the news are these extraordinary people who don't have feelings, that don't get like extremely depressed, who aren't vulnerable.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to know, I mean, we obviously all live in South Africa, and we have this there's a constant fear driving down the road. I mean, a lot of us have had smash and grabs and all of that, and there's a PTSD that happens constantly in living in this amazing country. And I think I just wanted to understand how being in this situation, putting yourself out there, standing up for what was right, and knowing that people could so easily come and get you. How did you deal with that? I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Like, you know, I think about, there was like a road that I used to drive to the SABC, and I had a smash and grab there, and like it was like the only road that I could get home, and I had to drive that road every single day, and this incredible fear and anxiety that I went through for months driving that road. And that was just like one little instance. This must have been all the time. And I mean, you say you went to your parents in their old age home, which must have been like absolutely massively helpful. But how did you deal with it personally and physically, actually?
Well, I mean, what was insane was like when we were appearing in court, we had to go with bodyguards, and like that was difficult for me.
Yeah,
because I'm literally like, they came and picked us up from the airport, and these guys have got rifles across their chests. You know, like they didn't want us to drive on our own. And I have a very, very strong bond with Billy Downer, and I honestly don't know how I would have survived that experience without him just being as incredibly supportive of me as he was, because I thought he would have every right to be like angry with me, because it was my story that resulted in both of us sitting in the dock. And I remember, and he was just fantastic. He just said, you know, you were doing your job, I'm doing my job, we'll just keep going, we'll fight it. Yeah. But there was this, we had these discussions where we would say, well, you know, it's unlikely that someone would actually put a hit on us. They wouldn't be that organized, but you're more worried that someone who is maybe a bit mentally unstable, mentally ill, reads kind of stuff that gets put out on social media, reads the incitement from someone like Duduzile Zuma, who was referring to me, said I should be someone's vafie in prison, you know, like I should be raped in prison.
Yeah, I love the way people just casually throw that in. Like,
I mean, it's
really
fine.
really nice people who have like a family, and they're probably getting ready for Christmas now. They're like, oh, well, I hope you get raped in prison.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, I mean, it's insane. It's insane. But, you know, our big fear wasn't necessarily, though there was an occasion where I had to have bodyguards because SANEF became aware that someone had said that I was potentially going to be the target of a hit, and it ended up not being true. But for 2 weeks, I had to go under bodyguards. But our fear was more that like some mentally unstable person, you know, stabs you or attacks you. And that's something that I still have to live with, because I've had encounters. Overwhelmingly, South Africans have been extremely supportive, very, very kind, walk up to me in the street, high five, like shake my parents' hands. You know, we're adorable. I love us. But, you know, I had one encounter with an Uber driver who sort of said to me, why does everyone hate you? And I was like, you know, like, well, you know, and I had to sit there and sort of explain the machinations of the case and sort of get him through all the social media stuff that he'd been following, which was from a certain quarter of the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did have paralyzing anxiety. I think a lot of people in our profession are high functioning, highly anxious people.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, like a lot of us are like all the time.
Yes.
So part of it wasn't just even the safety stuff. Part of it was like getting therapy and getting help and saying that I was overwhelmed, because, you know, I am a type 1 diabetic, and I went into serious comas. I mean, my parents had to like inject glucose into me the one night because I went into a coma. And, you know,
how did they deal with this? Because this is always something that's struck me. You know, I'll say something on a show and think nothing of it, and then it turns into a controversy. And that's all good and well, and I'll be expected to deal with it as part of the job. But
Yeah.
that's not my parents' responsibility, or my brother or my sister or friends of mine. And now suddenly they're being asked questions about it. Your folks must have been, I mean, very concerned. You know, say to you, why don't you just go and become a high school teacher or something? It's a bit safer.
They never said that. My parents are amazing. I literally, like, I thank God every day for the family that I have. Like, they're literally the best. I think their overwhelming concern was that I was going to die of diabetic complications because of the level of stress I was under, which was a very valid fear, because there were a number of occasions where we had to call, ambulances, and, I was very, very unwell. And the thing is with diabetes, with type 1, is if you go into a coma, you can die. Oxygen stops from your brain, you become incoherent. You get severely brain damaged at a point, and then at a certain point you'll pass away. And I know diabetic friends who that's happened to. And so it was this collision, of you. And it's so interesting to me, because I think your instinct, what you just said now, Gareth, like, oh, well, I have to take it. I don't know, we don't take it, do we? Like, it affects us. It affects, like, how we view the world. It can make you more fearful. It can make you more apprehensive. It can make you more cautious of interactions with other people. And I think, to this day, though my parents have never, ever made me ever feel bad about being a journalist and doing what I do, I think my greatest sense of guilt or regret is about what I put them through, because they carried me through that, and they shouldn't have had to do that. It wasn't fair.
I think you answered you gave the solution to the problem in your previous comment, where you said that most people don't think that you're this dangerous journalist who tried to bring down Jacob Zuma, even though there's some truth to the fact that you were reporting on him and that it didn't redound in his honor. You have never been approached by someone in public who said, you're a terrible person and I hate you. Similarly with me, there can be the biggest internet controversy going on, and I hope I'm past those, frankly, because it's just I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I've never had anyone come up to me and say, you are a terrible person or whatever. Because that all happens on social media, which is just not real. It's not a real place.
It's not real. It's really, it's not real. And I mean, I'm actually working on another book now, which is about the social media thing. And I think that what they actually want to do with the kind of tide of hatred and whatever is almost radicalize you. And sort of, because we are in an environment now where we're presented with this idea that our political spectrum is one of extremes, right? You're either on the extreme left or the extreme right. There's no in between. And that's just not true. The most interesting stuff around Twitter, X, sorry, is that the vast majority of people on X are actually silent. They're observing, they're watching. And then in between all of that, there are like these screamers that are, like grabbing all this attention. Oftentimes the algorithm will reward particularly controversial or hate-fueled stuff. And, when you talk to people in real life, like the kind of stuff that you'll see on social media is by no means a reflection of what the average South African wants.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I mean,
We all of us want this to work. All of us want this to work. Like, we're not out there, like just wanting to burn everything to the ground, hating the
people screaming at each other hysterically, like you're wrong and I'm right, and that doesn't happen in real life. I mean, I
think we actually have to, as society, and I think one of the things that helped me survive this was I just didn't take it seriously. We obviously, like, there were a lot of very wounding stuff. There was like direct threats to my life. We scrubbed the internet of any reference to my family because I didn't want anything coming at them. My mother deleted her account, which was most of the time her responding to people she liked and saying amen, exclamation mark. So that was fine. But like, we made some choices, but one of the biggest choices I made was to say, I can put my stories out there. I'm staying on there to put my stories out there, but I'm not getting locked in the mire of this stuff. You know, I really value and appreciate criticism. I think it's extremely important. Like, we have to be able to say, look, I maybe have re-angled this wrong, or maybe there's something I could have done differently. That is completely valid. But someone screaming, die bitch, die at me on the internet is not super helpful. It's not something I need to see. No. And it's not something that should disrupt me from going about my day and doing what I'm called to do, which is to be a journalist.
Yeah.
So JP says, do you think if Billy Downer agreed to Zuma's demands, he would have been in court by now?
No. I mean, in the original special plea application that he bought, he actually said it wasn't just about Downer, it was about any prosecutor associated with Downer, it was about anyone in the NPA. He basically said essentially that no one could prosecute him. And I think that, you know, I also agree with Downer and the NPA that it's very, very dangerous if we bow to this idea that, oh, let's just give in to this guy's demands that he doesn't want to be prosecuted by this person. Can you imagine, like, the implications for the criminal justice system? Because as soon as you see someone with a modicum of, like, a Johan de Neysen or, you know, George Beloy and you're going to be like, oh, no, or Michelle LaRue, because, I mean, those guys were potentially going to prosecute Steinhoff. Right. You're going to be like, oh, no, I don't, you know, I feel this person, whatever, make up something. And then, you know, we get mired in long-winded proceedings. I don't think that's a good idea. And I think the NPA took a principled stance on that, which I think was the correct one. The problem for the NPA was Bulelani Nguka's decision I think it was with Sheikh, where he didn't put Zuma on trial with Sheikh, which literally changed the entire trajectory of this country. And I think Jacob Zuma is rightfully, you know, he always raises that as an issue and says it was deeply unfair. It was deeply unfair. It was deeply unfair, not just to him, but to the country. You know, Bulelani Nguka has defended that decision. But in the end of the day, they had a case against both Zuma and Sheikh, and they should have prosecuted them. And we may well be looking at a very different South Africa if they had. Yeah,
I think that we're still looking at a very strange South Africa. And I can't believe that essentially the biggest new party is a party that was established just around the grievances of Jacob Zuma with the system. And it received enough support to almost become the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal, you know, by just a couple of percentage points. And I don't know what you think might happen here. I'd like to just forecast, and knowing as much as you know about the personalities involved, do you think that there's any chance at all that MK kind of is more than just a survival, a testimonial, a kind of a retirement plan for Jacob Zuma? Do you think there's anything else going on there that we don't know? And particularly when it comes to who's pulling the strings, right? Because he does look like a frail old man now. And I don't think he's gone. I don't think he's like Joe Biden levels of gone. But I think that the guy is probably not calling all the shots. He may be calling some of them. Who's there? Is it Duduzile? Who do you, I mean, you still follow these things. You're paying very close attention.
I mean, it is fascinating for me, the dynamics of that party, because anyone who knows the personalities involved, particularly like someone like Dr. John Klorpe, for example, led the Western Cape High Court, and, you know, there's various allegations around that, but is a very strong personality. And he's now in this leadership position because Jacob Zuma can't be in parliament because of the Constitutional Court contempt conviction. And I wonder about those dynamics. I wonder about how those two personalities are going to play out, because people who have connections with both of them have said, you know, it's only a matter of time. And then you throw into the mix Floyd, who has been a sort of second in command to Julius, so is used to keeping quiet while the diva throws a tantrum because there weren't enough peanuts in the room or whatever. So he will probably be fine. Busisiwe Mkhwebane, I'm not sure, you know, what will happen there. But then you have Brian Molefe, you know, you have this whole cast.
It's like a rogues gallery.
I mean, it's really, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens there. But I mean, I think what the EFF example shows us is that theatrical chaos politics only works for so long, right? Because the average South African does, I think, want solutions, and they want like viable political strategies that can work. And the MK have this grand plan about wanting to, you know, undermine the constitution, go to a parliamentary sovereignty system. They super, you know, obviously as the EFF has also always been very, very much pro-Russia, pro-BRICS, which is, you know, yeah, fantastic for them. But they have a very firm geopolitical identity.
Mm-hmm.
And they, you know, outside of, you know, flexing their muscles in that kind of scenario and throwing tantrums about the NPA and state capture, you know, they haven't really presented themselves as a viable political force, you know. I'm interested to see what they do with that.
Did you ever actually have conversations with Zuma? Not obviously once.
Yes.
Because that interests me too.
I interviewed him for the nuclear book in March 2019. And, you know, like, this is the thing that's so interesting about him, right? Is like, so he for some reason knew that I was diabetic, and I was having lunch with him, and we were watching this. Pravin Gordhan was having a press conference on the TV. And of course, he's like glued to what Pravin Gordhan has said, because that's like his frenemy. And, you know, and in the midst of this, he sort of says, you know, there was this like dessert getting offered. And I was like, well, no, can't. And he's like, no, we have diabetic ice cream. You can have that. You can have ice cream that doesn't have sugar in it. And I thought to myself, my God, like this man somehow, I don't know if I'd said it or whatever, but he picked that up, remembered it, and then, you know, put me this diabetic ice cream. And he provided a very spirited, sort of motivational for why he believed that we should do a Russian nuclear deal. He somehow, I don't think, realized the seriousness of some of the things that he said. For example, he said, I considered all the deals that were on the table, which I think was America, France, and Russia. And Russia was definitely the best, which, of course, for a president to make those kind of utterances in the context of procurement is really, you know, that's unlawful. You can't do that. But he also, you know, he was very warm. He was inviting. He answered all the questions. The only question he sort of avoided was about his relationship with Vladimir Putin. He didn't want to go into that. He said, you know, many people have relationships with him. And he also didn't want to go into the issue of the poisoning. And then subsequent to that interview, of course, he goes to the state capture inquiry and then lays bare how all these Western/apartheid forces have been trying to kill him.
But I mean, the point that I was getting to is you have these conversations with this guy who pretty much could have sent his actions, his lawyers and his actions could have sent you to jail for 15 years. But so much of politics is performative, right? I mean, you see these guys, they hate each other. It's almost like the social media real life conundrum. On social media, people are horrible to each other. In real life, they're nice to each other. In politics, these guys are vicious, and this case is being laid by this one, and this one is shouting at that one in parliament. And behind the scenes, they absolutely hate each other. And then when you're not looking, they're shaking hands and laughing and taking the piss out of the whole scenario and saying, oh, almost like these people in South Africa are so stupid. They think we all hate each other, but actually we have lunch every now and then.
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, remember the height of the private prosecution thing that Zuma tried to do against Ramaphosa at the ANC conference, and there were all these happy pictures of him and Judith. Yeah. So I mean, I can definitely understand that, but I just think it's an intrinsic. You know, human beings are for the most part, they're pretty decent, you know, like we don't want to be in a situation where we're being hateful and unkind to each other. And I think that when we're in each other's physical presence, that oftentimes is the case. Like it's very unusual. I mean, if you have a beef with someone, your instinct is probably just to ignore them and to walk away. And again, that's why I say just don't buy into the social media thing, because it like no human being can ever be deserving of the kind of vitriol that's sometimes poured out towards them, because you think that because they've expressed a certain view, they're a terrible human being and that you need to be horrible to them. They're just a person, in most instances, maybe not all, who's trying their best and maybe has a view that you don't agree with. But that doesn't mean that, you know, you then descend upon them with the force of 1,000 suns, because you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to have a conversation and a discussion with a real life person rather than shriek at them on a tweet, you know?
You very quickly figure out when you're in a situation like this who your actual friends are and who you can rely on and who have never really been there for you. And I think also you can probably take some positives out of this too. I mean, the book would be one of those things, and we can all now share in that story. With the benefit of hindsight, you're able to be a lot more objective about it without being, you know, PTSD'd effectively. Who are the people that you really relied on? Besides, you've given huge credit to your parents. No doubt they were the biggest players in terms of support, but who else really came to your aid and, you know, deserves some kudos? And what else did you learn from this that helps you to be better at the things you already do so well as a result of having gone through shit?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I always had this perspective that, you know, when you go through real like shit, as you put it, that it'll be people who have their life together, who are, you know, fully in control, who will come out and back for you and fight for you. But that really wasn't the case. A lot of people, I think, they just saw me as kind of controversial. And so, you know, I used to do a lot of work in TV and radio and stuff. And suddenly, you know, people weren't phoning me to ask me about cases because there would be a lot of unhappiness when I was on by, you know, people posting comments and she's an accused criminal and wada. And it was, there were some, you know, some stations that kept doing it despite that. There was Cape Talk, you know, I will always be grateful for them. But the most amazing thing was the female journalists who get attacked. And one of the strongest levels of support I got was from Polly van Beek, who is a very good friend of mine, who regularly gets it absolutely horrendous abuse because of the exemplary work she's done on the EFF and the Reserve Bank and obviously the VBS scandal.
Yep.
And she, you know, we would go for these walks along the promenade in Sea Point, and she'd be like, I think you need to go to a painting class. You know, she offered this like very cool like advice of just like keeping that perspective, you know, and she'd like be like, I mute them and then they can just talk amongst themselves, but I don't have to see it. Just mute, Karyn, just mute.
Yeah.
And like, you know, she's an amazing person. And she came out to bat for me. She regularly came out to bat for me. In addition to all the other abuse she was getting everywhere, she was fighting for me. Ferial Haffajee was another one. Reedy Klabi, like, was amazing. And also Juanita Hunter, who, like my erstwhile colleague at News 24, who literally got all our colleagues to do videos on the day that I appeared in court. And it was like, you know, we support you. And it was such a beautiful thing to watch that video. Like when you're about to go into court and your colleagues are like vocalizing their support. And then, you know, there was a demonstration outside the court on the day that we were arguing, and she was there as well talking. And of course, Carl Nias came screaming at everyone that they shouldn't be demonstrating. But
isn't he just
everyone turned their backs on him and was like,
isn't he the most ridiculous? He's like the most ridiculous guy in the whole country.
I know, and it's so weird because he like posts this tweet about she must be kicked like a dog until the owner comes out, which is something that Iqbal's survey also repeated. And then you see him in public and he like runs in the opposite direction. And I'm like, yo, Carl, the dog is here, you know,
yeah, come
what's
give me
up?
a kick.
And
yeah,
he, you know, like, and
I must just tell you, I interviewed him a while ago, and I kind of felt a bit sorry for him by the end of it, which I didn't think I would. he's like a really sad little man who doesn't have anywhere to go. Like nobody really loves him. He doesn't get along with his family. He doesn't get along with, I mean, like he's just got nobody. And he kind of jumps into political families because they're the only ones who seemingly will find some use for him. And I kind of felt a bit sorry. I didn't think I would. I felt sorry for the dude. I was like, you're pathetic.
Well, I mean, I can kind of understand why the family might be a bit reticent, given the whole, he says that he didn't do it, but there's a well-documented history of him claiming that, relatives were deceased when they were
his mum.
not dead. Yes. Like everyone's like, ask him how his mom is, but his mom has subsequently genuinely passed away. So I don't feel like that's a fair thing to do. But I mean, I think also, your actions have consequences. And if you have a dynamic of your personality that is prepared to say false things, for self-serving purposes, or to attack people for self-serving purposes, then it's not a strange thing that you would be sort of isolated. And sometimes there's a context in which, ultimately you're your own barrier towards the life that you want, because we all have to take responsibility. And so I really hope he does one day, because I think he'll probably have a way better life when he does that.
So are you flying to Russia to go and pick a fight with Vladimir Putin next? I mean, you're so...
I don't
you're so ready for the next. You're so ready for the next challenge.
I don't feel like some ricin or some Novichok, in my coffee in the morning.
Yeah,
not fun.
Polonium
no,
234.
I don't think that's that important. I think he's got bigger fish to fry. He's quickly phoning Trump and Elon Musk allegedly. So no, I think Putin's probably got bigger fish to fry than me. I'd love to go to Russia though. I think it's such an interesting country and I'm obsessed with it, but I don't know that I actually go and travel there.
All right. So what are you doing for fun now? I mean, you're writing books, but a lot of that's work for you as well. So what are you doing for fun? You can't just go and visit your parents in the retirement village.
Oh gosh. I mean, I have a very unfortunate habit of watching fast forwarded dessert videos, of things I can't. That's my comfort video on YouTube. Like, I love that. I love that shit so much. And everyone's like, but you're a diabetic. And I was like, yeah, but when the cream and the sugar comes together, it's amazing. And they're like, dude, you need help. So I might actually go into making actual cakes that I will then give to people, which I'll never be able to eat. But yeah, I mean, mostly, and I'm researching this other book. Yeah. And then I also have small members of my family, which I think you do too. And the small members are very good at giving you some perspective on life, because they have their heads screwed right.
So possibly Karyn Maughan Cake Boss next time we speak to you, right?
Yes, no, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. The diabetic version of
or you
Cake
could
Boss.
join.
Absolutely.
You could join Kath. She's doing like yoga. She's got a goddess room in her house.
Yeah,
now.
I do pottery.
Yeah, pottery.
It's
Listen
really,
to this.
really important.
I want to do the pottery. I think I'm very capped. I'm in your DMs for the pottery now.
Absolutely.
Definitely
I'm gonna message you back, because it is the most therapeutic thing, and I've learned so many things. You've got to let go. The clay is actually telling you what it needs to be. I know you're going to say it's a hippie vibe, Gareth.
No, I
but
just feel like I've suddenly the show's become the sisterhood of the traveling pants or whatever the fuck that thing is.
Well, I just wanted to say how amazing, like all the people that you said, like that stood by you, were all of these amazing, strong women. And I think that we often find that, women can be so detrimental to each other, and the fact that they're all banded together to be with you is just such an incredible testament to them, to you. And I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because as women, we are so damn powerful. And when we are together and we work together, God, no one can stop us. And I just love that. And I'm so excited to buy your book, because I'm going to buy it for my book club. And it's amazing. It's really so fantastic.
I'm thrilled. Listen, well done on the book. And it's great to talk to you again. Next time you're in Joburg, come and sit here for a change, rather than this internet thing.
Not in the retirement village, but retirement village aesthetic. I mean, it's added an dimension to your show that you would.
No, it's very cool.
Absolutely.
It's very cool. I mean, we get to go into your parents' house, which normally wouldn't happen. Thanks so much, Karyn, and well done on the book. It is called "I Will Not Be Silenced," and you and Kath get together and do this pottery, and
we're actually gonna get you involved, Gareth.
Yeah.
You guys come to the pottery class.
No, it sounds like a feminist
thing.
You guys do it.
Beautiful pot ever.
Yes.
Gareth will become an avant-garde pot artist that will
Absolutely.
literally rival Bankley.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Kath, it's gonna happen.
It is. I mean, baby steps. I'm getting him to write in a journal for now. So
She's got me convinced I need to do journaling all of a sudden. So before I actually become a feminist on this show, let me just stop it right now. It's 8:00. We're about to call it quits for the day. Thank you very much, Karyn Maughan. Very big thank you to you, Catherine Grenfell, for coming to spend time with us.
So lovely. Thank you for asking me.
This was fun.
Nice to be here.
And keep doing all this good hippie shit.
Thanks, man.
Look after yourself.
I am.
We like you. We want you to stick around.
Thank you, Gareth.
All right. And Karyn, we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Cheers,
awesome.
Karyn.
Thanks, guys. That's us. We will see you on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Bye.